What's something that was considered rude 20 years ago but is normal now?
Not writing "brarb" when stepping away from the computer while chatting online, or ending the conversation without saying goodbye.
My brother used to be absolutely bewildered by my inability to step away from MSN Messenger without at least sending a BRB or AFK. To me, not doing that felt as rude as getting up and leaving mid-conversation in person. To my brother, he thought it was no different than just not texting back right away.
Wait, since when is this no longer considered rude? Guess I'm getting old.
Basically, it's because people were way more active in smaller chats back then. You'd have an IRC channel with like 6 people talking for hours, so saying AFK or BRB made sense. But now, with Discords of 100 plus people, topics just shift and others keep chatting. Over time, those little courtesies like saying BRB or even goodbye faded out, since you're not really leaving the chat anymore.
Back in the day, I'd plan around MSN time. I'd be sitting there just talking to people and only doing that. Others were behaving that way too. It was a live conversation. So if you suddenly went silent, it would feel strange. Nowadays, people send texts in between other things they're doing, and that's what we tend to expect. It isn't always a conversation. It's something relatively new in the way we communicate, unless you consider it like two people exchanging brief comments every time they get near each other while working in a field. It can become a conversation. But even then, if one person suddenly stops responding, it isn't considered unusual anymore, because we just assume something came up. I guess texting isn't seen as highly important. It's a low-demand, low-consequence type of communication, whereas the old messenger programs were more like having a phone call, only with written words.
I think message history being permanent has a lot to do with this. It made digital conversations feel perpetual. Before, your phone could only store a limited number of texts, and you didn't know if people had instant message logs saved, since it wasn't the default, if it was even supported by the platform they were using. It's kind of wild how the culture shifted without anyone really noticing or making a deliberate effort to change it.
To some people, it's now normal to film or take pictures of strangers, then spread them around like it's nothing. Rescue services have literally done campaigns telling people not to film or photograph accident scenes. The fact some people need to be reminded that having your or a loved one's emergency spread uncontrollably as entertainment would be awful is a chilling thought.
To piggyback off of this, I dislike when people go to a sports event or concert and block the walkway so they can film themselves doing something silly like a dance for TikTok or Instagram. There's an influencer who does it at Phillies and Eagles games all the time.
Unrelated to the thread, I witnessed a bad accident at work and was one of the first people with any sort of first aid training on the scene. I had to literally shout at people to either help or put away their phones and move out of the way. It was shocking that people's first instinct was to film a car accident instead of helping.
Not answering the phone every single time someone calls. I think I probably pick up 10% of the phone calls I receive. I have an outgoing message letting people know that I don't answer unsolicited calls from numbers I don't recognize. So they need to leave a message and I'll get back to them.
I read somewhere, a ringing phone is an invitation, not an obligation, and that was a life-changing moment for me. Even if it's someone I know calling, if it's not a convenient moment to answer the phone, cooking, eating, busy doing something, etc., I don't answer. They can leave a message and I will call them back when it's convenient for me.
Talking openly about money, like salaries, rent, or even how much you spent on something, used to be considered really impolite or taboo in casual conversation. But now it's becoming normal and even encouraged as people push for transparency, fair pay, and breaking down financial stigma.
My mom has a really siloed job that only she and one other colleague do. They've been working closely together for 15 years, every day. Just the two of them. He's like a family member at this point. I was so shocked when she told me they never once shared salaries. She just kind of shrugged and said, "It's not what people in my generation do." Meanwhile, I have a small group at work where we always share salaries, bonuses, raises, etc. We do keep it quiet to not cause a stir with upper management, but we gladly welcome anyone into the group.
Professionals with visible tattoos and creative piercings.
I did grunt work at an accounting firm for several years and saw that one change in real time. They had a no visible tattoos rule and got rid of it once they realized it was a losing battle, and they couldn't afford to shut out a significant segment of the younger generation.
Bringing pet dogs into restaurants and grocery stores. I watched someone's small dog make a mess in the pharmacy aisle at Costco right after an employee finished mopping. Why is this just accepted?
There's a lady at the place I work who keeps bringing her lizard in when she goes shopping. It's a really cool lizard, but this is not a safe place for it. I even had to catch it for her once when it started slipping and she couldn't reach it in time.
Not answering the door. I honestly freeze, stay quiet, and check my porch camera before even thinking about answering if I'm not expecting someone. I only started doing that because I have elderly neighbors who sometimes drop by, either for emergencies, to share food from their garden, or because she's an Italian grandma who occasionally sends over amazing dinners when she cooks too much.
Going out in your pajamas and dressing gown.
This is what I was gonna say. My mom gets so miffed about it. She doesn't think it's rude, just that it makes you look sloppy.
I'm with her on this. Not rude, but not something I'll be doing, unless I'm headed to the ER or something like that. My kids can wear pajamas to the drive-in, sure, but I just don't want to wear mine in public. It feels uncomfortable for me. That said, I really don't care what other people choose to do.
Pajamas are made to be soft and thin. I grew up in an urban area taking public transportation, and I couldn't imagine being out in the city with just very thin cloth separating me from the outside world. It doesn't offend me when other people wear pajamas in public, but if you want to do that, good luck.
Politicians who actually say they wish harm on their fellow men. News agencies who want people to be put to death for their poverty. The exaggerated speech that is being spouted with no accountability or shame.
Not so much rude, but wearing trainers or hats in nightclubs was not accepted.
Trainers generally have gone from being the casual option to being the norm in most situations. Leather shoes have gone the way that suits went a generation earlier. From being the general norm, they're now mostly restricted to specific settings. And outside those, they're a minority-style choice.
Bragging, flaunting wealth and success, showing everyone photos of your expensive vacation, the expensive clothes you bought, and the expensive food you ate.
Kids not being taught general manners and being allowed to run wild just because they're kids.
Kids running wild in public places like restaurants and stores is so much more common now. I was a fairly permissive mom, except when it came to social graces and manners. Kids can be kids, but not when they're infringing on other people's space in public. In my experience, rude kids grow up to be rude adults. And this just wasn't tolerated 40 years ago. People always used to hold the door for others coming up behind them. That's still mostly the case where I live in Arizona, but when I was in North Carolina, it felt more like 50-50.
Talking during movies. I swear, just before and especially after the pandemic, this has gotten so much worse. What is going on with people talking during movies like they own the place now? Also, ghosting people or flaking out at the last minute on something that was planned in advance. People, for the most part, didn't do either of those things unless there was a really good reason. Like with canceling plans, it wasn't even considered flaking out. People would only cancel at the last minute if they had some kind of emergency or something unexpected came up. And ghosting used to only happen if someone was being inappropriate, or there had been a big argument or misunderstanding. Now it feels like people will ghost someone for the smallest reason, or for no reason at all. It's even happening in professional settings. My sister had an interview recently, and things seemed to be going really well. She might actually have gotten the job, but then, suddenly she was ghosted.